For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatahu, Brakatahu Shai, Brakatahu, Brakatahu Shai, Brakatahu, Brakatahu Shai, the water above above, called Kadash. I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone that teaches truth, which we know is 100% truth. And his lesson going to be basically how Israel, we have gone so long without, without a true leader. We pretty much like been orphaned out here. And we have what you would call very bad, very abusive parents that rule over us, our leaders. And these leaders that we do have, that's in our community, they're really puppeteers for our overlords, man, for our captors. And you look at the state of the nation as it is today, Babylon the Great. It's just total chaos, confusion, destruction. Anything that you can throw against the wall that sticks, man, everything is all negative because this place is, it's on its last leg, it's going down. And the rulers that rule over this people, stuff is coming out in the press about how wicked they are, things that they're doing behind the scene. A lot of the leaders are tainted because, a lot of them have been blackmailed or been put in positions of where they've been compromised and it's used against them. And that takes us back to like the Epstein thing, the Epstein files, which they are reluctantly bringing out. But eventually the truth is going to bring everything out, That's why it's gotten to this point where it is now, man. People, these so-called leaders, people that we revered and looked up to, these past presidents, these celebrities, these people that we've held in high regard, we're starting to be able to see what's going on in their background, man, what's going on behind the scenes. And, all these things are being brought out because Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai is bringing them out. But as your leaders are, so shall your people be. People that rule over you, that's how the people that's underneath is going to are going to respond and react in a certain way. You look at our nation as a whole, man. Because the leaders are filthy and wicked. Now the people become filthy and wicked because our leaders have become abusive. What they've done to these other nations. Now the people have become abusive. Killing and destroying one another. And it's just a sign of leadership. Leadership projects bad behavior. Bad leadership projects bad behavior. If you have good and righteous leadership and authority, people are going to respond that way in a righteous way of authority. And it's always going back to Israel as a whole. You go back and read throughout the Bible, through prophecies, man. After King David, the leadership, even King Solomon, at the end of his reign, started going off. And then from that point on, the leadership has, been waning worse and worse. And the people became worse and worse. The Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And now here we are today that we don't even have a true leadership of us, from Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. And that's what we receive now through the Holy Spirit, through the Raquah Kadash, our leadership, those of us that's in this truth. Because prior to this, man, prior to the Holy Spirit coming back, man, we had nothing. For the children of Israel, that's Hosea chapter 3 and 4, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim. And look at the word ephod. Ephod is a says it's a garment that was worn, by the holy men of Israel. Let's look up teraphim, teraphim right quick. Teraphim, household of gods, idols in the Hebrew Bible, or images, So, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. Man, what you doing? Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord Yahweh, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of Yahweh in the land. Hosea 4 and 2. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. Like I said, because we don't have proper leadership over us, King David, no longer rules over us, which is our Shalaki, was our one true righteous leadership at the time. Therefore, Jake is all over the place, man. Jake has all these rulers over them that seek to destroy them, help them to destroy themselves. And as we know, the government has used many of its devices to help destroy you black, so-called black Hispanics and Native Americans. And one of them being the media, through the music, through the food, and all these things that help to destroy you, man. So that's why, within a lot of our communities, you find a lot of swearing, a lot of lying, killing, and stealing, and committing adultery. And like I said, blood touches blood, that goes back to like the gang violence and stuff that's going on. Jake is wiping each other out right now. The book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 10, verse 2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are the officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So anybody that's up under our household, up under our government, they're gonna be the manner of who's ever ruling that household, man. And that's how the people of our nation, man, have become up under these up under our captors, man. And therefore they give us these leaders that rule over us, man. From the government on down, they give us these so-called leaders now. Now they put in front of us leaders like, who leaders they push them now? People like fucking Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, goddamn Charlamagne the God, and Stephen A. Smith, Kamala Harris, these type of leaders, man. It shows to the level that we've fallen off to, man. That allowing these people, these degenerates, pretty much most say, to be our leaders. Really, these rap moguls, like Puff Daddy, P. Diddy for a while was a major leader that they pushed out there. And now we see what's going on behind the background with him. And stuff coming out on like LeBron James, all these superstars, people that we held up in a higher position, and now we starting to see, because Lord is bringing all these things to light, and we see why the people are just as wicked, just wicked as they are, because of the leaders that rule over them, that are above them. That's who Esau Edom pushes to a forefront, man, for our people to be leadership. The book of Ecclesiasticus, okay, I just read that one. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10, verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. So we had a wise judge in King David, and even King Solomon for a period of time, And we had a few leaders, here and there that were wise, but the people going to reflect from the leadership that's above them. We have righteous and wise leadership. The people going to conduct themselves in a righteous form of they're going to respond to righteous authority. So a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Right now, our government leads our people astray. It's telling that a man could be with another man, a woman could be with a woman. It's quite normal in this society what they push it. To see a woman dressed as a man dressing like a woman. I think they had people heads of state, that were so-called transformers. And really, if you go back into it, we don't know, but it's going to be revealed eventually. But a lot of these people, some of their so-called wives, that were heads of states, with transformers, man. Like I said, it really runs deep, man. And once all these things are being brought out, we're going to be very surprised. We're going to be shocked by what has really been going on behind the scenes, from these so-called leaders, man. Then you will understand why they push a lot of these agendas. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority. So an unwise king destroys his people. Right now we have unwise leadership. Look at the presidents that we had over the past and until now. They're unwise, man. And you see in the state of the people at the end of the day, man, people are suffering. People are destroyed. And one reason they're destroyed from a lack of knowledge. One thing about Babylon the Great, it pushes confusion, wickedness, all these things destroy. They go after the kids, through the school system to help destroy their minds even further through indoctrination and pushing these things, these agendas on the kids, to keep them in a state of confusion, confounded. But that's pretty much it, man. It wasn't meant to be a long lesson. It's when I hit those points, man. We see why our people in the state they are. And we are following after the ways of our taskmasters that are above us, And the only way we're able to come out of it, is through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, We're able to break that cycle of falling down deeper and deeper, down deeper and deeper into degeneracy because of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai through the Holy Spirit of the Ruach HaKodesh. And Lord will that we're able to endure and hold on, man. And we wait on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai to make his return. With that, say Shalom.